Good morning. This is Norma Cowie with a Sunday Thought. Today is Boxing Day. I hope you all had a great Christmas dinner yesterday. I certainly did. Four of us gathered at a friend's place and we visited and we had a beautiful supper. It was wonderful. For me, it was very special because she knew traditionally in New Zealand, I very often had ham that was cooked as a kid. Um, my brother-in-law, my sisters were much older than me, and my brother-in-law had a old copper thing, and he used to cook these hams in it. And I always remembered, and hams came over the years to mean special Christmas time for me, and fond memories, of course, from the past. And also, excuse me, with that was scalloped potatoes. So I had some scalloped potatoes, some ham, I had a little bit of turkey, I had vegetables, and we had pumpkin pie for dessert. And of course, over the day, chocolate, one of my favorite foods. Anyway, what I wanted to say today was it's closing, the year is closing down. It's going to be the first before we know it. But where did Boxing Day traditions come from? Now, if you're in the Commonwealth countries where I was raised and where I live now, Boxing Day was always like a holiday, another holiday. We had a 2-day holiday. I know in the US, they don't have a Boxing Day. They just have the day after Christmas. Now, where did Boxing Day tradition came from? Now, when I originally heard about Boxing Day as a child, was that the rich in England, excuse me again, they had lots of food left over, so they would box it to give to the poor. So really the Boxing Day became a place where the poor would get extra because there was a wide division in classes in those olden days where the rich were very rich. Sounds a little bit like today in a way, with our middle class kind of being disappearing. But and then the poor would, the person in charge of the manor or whatever, they would box up all their leftovers and maybe add some other goodies to it and hand it out to the people. But it also proceeded apparently before that. And you may be familiar with the carol, Good King Wenceslas. That came out because he was very giving to his people during Christmas time as well. And so it was about giving. Now, come forward quite a century, let's say, maybe a bit more than that actually. When my kids were little, what we used to do was we would go out and visit friends. We would bundle the two kids up and away we would go and maybe visit 2 or 3 friends and have food and drink when we got there. And then of course that changed as my kids got older and began to create their own lives. Shopping on Boxing Day, I know I would say to my son, what are you doing or something like that, and he'd say, oh, I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to line up because I want to get this or that or the other. Then as his years went by, I remember saying, okay, what are you going to go buy this year? And he said, no, I don't need to do that. I've got most things that I want. So things have changed a lot on this day, the day after Christmas. Sometimes it's just used for a sense of getting over the amounts of quantity of food. Now, I learned many years ago not to overeat because then you just pay. You kind of pay. It's not so comfortable and you don't get to really cherish that food that you've had. But I still kind of will overeat a little bit of those things, just that one more mouthful or that maybe 2 mouthfuls in order to celebrate. And so kind of Boxing Day is kind of a recuperation day. My computer got turned on the first thing this morning after 2 days, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. My computer didn't get put on at all. So I had a lot of mail to look and go through before I was able to come on and do this, because then I've got that off my mind. I also need to do some other little bits and pieces today, but it's kind of a recuperating day in a way where you kind of get ready, and then get ready for the new year that's to come, maybe. And I'm going to just touch on one of the things that I talk a lot and probably will talk about when we get into my Wednesday Norma Talks. A lot of people make goals for what they are wanting for the new year. And one of the things that I discovered many years ago is that most people don't make the actual decision of what they want. I would suggest that you maybe take a look at your life and think, well, what would I like to create this next year? What do I want out of this year? And the key is to make a decision that you will create that. Some things just arrive out of nowhere and you accept that. But often when you've wanted something, and I look back and some of the things that I had decided I wanted this year came true, came forward. But they didn't come because I sat down and went, oh, well, I'll wait for them to show up. It was because I took a look at what I needed to do and how I wanted that to work and how that all would come into being. And so Boxing Day is sometimes a good time to start considering that. What do I really want next year? Now, next year is 21-22. It's going to be a 6th year. It's very different from our last one, which was a 5 universal year. So it's going to be much more about working, getting towards your goals, creating. And I'm trusting the world is in a little bit different place than what it's been in. All the cancellation of our shows. I have to really watch sometimes what I say because I don't want to be knocked off where I am of the platform or recreate another platform in another area. I mean, there's a lot of things that have gone on where it feels like many of our democratic rights have sort of wandered away and we're being mandated this, that, and the other. Those things besides, put that aside for a moment and think, how do I want to live my life next year? How do I want to feel? What do I want to create? Because we are creative beings. And when we create something, and you can create, that's the key we've been given. And I don't know I was going to do this, but on Wednesday, I'll spend a lot more time explaining how you can sit down and make that work and how you can bring that together. Because it is important to understand that most people do not have their goals met. And one of the reasons is because you haven't decided that's what you want. And it's far better to have one thing that you've decided than 20 things that you want. I like working with about 3 things, but it's quite a principle. So I want you to enjoy your Boxing Day. I want you to enjoy this day. I want you to reflect on what you got yesterday for presents. I got loads of little things that I'm really grateful for. And I just want you to know, life proceeds on. And this was at this time of the year is a great time. And now we're looking forward to the new year. What comes next? And I'll be back. And I want to thank you. Have a great time. Thank you for all your blessings. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the likes. And especially for those, there are several of you that share regularly. And I appreciate it. I appreciate everything. And you must realize that I send those thoughts out to you. I may not know who you are, but you get my thoughts through the stream. Thank you. Blessings. See you next. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye now.